Welcome to Proven and Probable. I'm your host, Maurice Jackson. Joining us for a conversation is Ross McElroy, the COO and Chief Geologist for FISSION 3.0, a Uranium Project Generator and Property Bank. Mr. McElroy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Maurice. It's great talking to you today.
Yeah, glad to have you back on the program to share the value proposition of FISSION 3.0. Before we begin, Ross, I'd like to begin with some basic fundamentals regarding uranium. For someone new to the uranium sector, what is uranium and where is it used?
Uranium is really all about energy. So the way we use uranium is for nuclear fuel. That's basically the fuel that runs reactors. You know, globally, nuclear power constitutes, between 15 to 20% of the electrical requirements. So that's really where the majority of the uranium is used. There is some, of course, that's used for strategic purposes on a country-by-country basis, for the Department of Defense reasons. But really the majority, the vast majority of uranium is used to fuel nuclear reactors.
Provide us with some metrics on how abundant uranium is in the Earth's crust and correlate that to the average grade that is found versus the grade that is needed to define an ore deposit and a future mine.
Well, uranium is actually one of the most abundant elements in the Earth. It's kind of ubiquitous. You'll see it throughout the Earth's crust. There is trace amounts of uranium present. Primarily in volcanic and igneous rocks, in sedimentary rocks. It's around. There on a deposit level. There's actually a number of uranium deposits around the world, in every continent on the planet and in many countries. But if we just look at it on a global basis, the average grade of a uranium deposit worldwide is around 0.1 to 0.15% U3O8. Now, if you compare that to, say, the deposits in Canada, they're orders of magnitude higher grade in Canada. In fact, we're orders of magnitude of 10 to 20 times that of the global grade. So, although I've given you the average grade, most of those deposits at those lower grades, at the average grade, are really uneconomic deposits. So we need grades that are generally much higher than the 0.1, 0.15 if it's going to be an economic deposit. And that's what Canada has. Canada has very high grade deposits, so the economic metrics are just that much more attractive in Canada.
Now that we've identified uranium's utility, what can you share with us from a supply and demand perspective?
Well, it's fairly simple to understand what the demand for nuclear energy is. In other words, uranium. If we can just multiply the number of reactors around the world that are currently operating, and the fuel consumption rate, and just to put it in pretty broad terms, if we're looking at your average 1,000 megawatt reactor, they require just under 500,000 pounds of uranium a year. So if we look at the global reactors, the number of reactors around the world, we're over 400 and what's the number these days? About 450 reactors around the world. So you can see that the need for uranium is on an annual basis is in around the realm of almost 200 million pounds of uranium.
How does the nuclear plant in Fukushima, Japan, fit into this narrative?
Well, Japan historically, up until the Fukushima event of 2011, was one of the main users on a country basis worldwide. Japan, I think, consumed almost 20% of the world's nuclear power. In other words, the world's annual production of uranium was used to run the Japanese reactors. In 2011, of course, we had the magnitude 9 earthquake followed by a tsunami, and this is what damaged the Fukushima facility. Interestingly enough, even with that magnitude of an earthquake and the soon-to-follow tsunami, the reactor still did not breach. I mean, the housing that surrounded the reactor was damaged, and this is where some of the radiation leaks came from. But the reactor itself actually held, and so the damage was actually very, very limited and manageable. But what happened is overnight, Japan shut down all of its nuclear reactors. In other words, all 52 reactors I think they had working at that time went offline, and that caused disruption to the supply-demand situation globally. But what's happened since then is Japan is slowly coming back on. I mean, their alternatives for power are pretty limited. Japan doesn't have very much of its own resources, if any at all, so they import whatever energy that they need, be it in natural gas now, in nuclear. So it's important for Japan to be able to operate these factories that they're running. I mean, they're an exporting country around the world, so they do have high energy requirements, and they also have the requirements for inexpensive power. So Japan is coming back onto the scene as far as nuclear power. You know, we're seeing them now they've got 8 reactors that are currently back up and operating. There's 17 reactors that are in the near-term licensing for approval to get them restarted again. I think the bottom line is where prior to Fukushima, Japan depended on nuclear energy for at least 25% of its electricity demands. I think by the time 2030 approaches, Japan is supposed to be right back up to those same levels. So they are coming back on. They were always an important major consumer of nuclear power, and I think we'll see them right back to the equation again here in the very near future.
Uranium, next to gold, is known as the other yellow metal, and here's why. Ross, let's step back to the last bull market in uranium, which was, if one was selective with the uranium holdings, they would have had generational changes in their portfolio. What was the spot price during the last bull market?
Well, in 2002, uranium was around, about $15 a pound. This is on the spot market, so that's what uranium was trading for. In 2003, 2004, we really saw the liftoff of the price of uranium, and in fact, it peaked at 2007 to around $140 a pound. So it went almost a tenfold increase in the price of the commodity between 2003 and 2007. The peak at 140 didn't last particularly long, but it was, had a slower decline till about 2008, 9. It stabilized, and then it peaked back up again. But it was holding steady. I guess this is the point I would want to make, is that we were starting to see the sort of a steady state price of between $50 to $70 a pound. And then the Fukushima event hit that we talked about in 2011, and that really threw the whole pricing structure right out the window, and we've been sort of working in our recovery ever since.
What is the spot price for uranium today?
Currently, we're about $28 a pound for uranium. So, it has recovered. We're off the bottoms of, $17, $18 a pound just a couple of years ago. It's making its way back, but maybe the important point here to note is we're still at prices that the majority of mines around the world are not profitable. Even the lowest cost producers are really not operating in an environment where they can make money with uranium prices where they're at right now. And so what we've seen is that the supply is starting to be restricted as the producers are taking a lot of that uranium off market. They're not supplying it to the utilities at this cheap price because it's not a working business model to lose money in the long run on the mining of the commodity. So we are seeing an improvement in the price of uranium, and it's been about a year and a half in the making. It's gone up from the $18 that I mentioned to about $28 a pound, but it certainly has a lot more growth, more room to move upwards even before we can start to get production back online to meaningful levels.
And what is that spot price that companies right now, uranium companies, I should say, for them to earn their cost of capital? Is the number around $60 for a spot price of uranium?
I think you're right. We're seeing prices that globally they have to be in the $60 to $70 a pound really to bring on any meaningful production. One of the clues that I look at when we look at the best uranium mines out there, the lowest cost producers, those would be, like the McArthur River deposit in Canada's Athabasca Basin and in northern Saskatchewan. That is one of the best uranium mines in the world, certainly the largest, highest grade operating mine. Cameco took that offline because the prices of uranium where they were at. They weren't making any money on this on the mining of this deposit. And some of the stories I hear is that they won't turn that mine back on into being a producer until the price of uranium is somewhat north of $40, maybe $45, something in that realm. I don't have an exact number there, but it does tell you that if you're going to even bring back the best of those deposits, you really need prices that are something north of 40 to 45. And as we mentioned earlier, the price for even the other deposits around the world are probably closer to $60 or $70. So you can see there's still lots of room for improvement.
The current price of uranium does not support the fundamentals. What correlations do you see today that may exceed the returns from the last bull market?
Well, it's sort of an elastic situation. I think that the longer we keep depressed prices, and yet the demand is still there and growing, reactors are being built, the need to fuel these reactors, that's not stopping, and in fact, it's growing. And if you have the primary suppliers of uranium, i.e. the mines, that are not supplying it, the longer that the prices are low, the more rapid that climb will be, in the price of uranium when it does correct. And so, I think that, there's a possibility, as I've heard some analysts call it, a violent reaction upwards to the price of uranium. I mean, this is, I think we're going to see some substantial price increases within, some short vision of time, maybe a year or two or three, something in that realm that I think will be, quite meaningful. And so, we'll see what happens. But the longer it stays depressed, the more likely and quicker the rise will be when it does come.
Ross, you've provided a compelling case on the fundamentals for uranium. And I know audience members may be asking how will all of this demand for uranium be met? Mr. McElroy, please introduce us to FISSION 3.0.
Sure. Well, FISSION 3.0 it's a uranium explorer. This is a company that we spun out of Fission Uranium Corp, our larger company, back in 2014 when we bought out our partner on the Patterson Lake project, and in so doing with that process of that arrangement, we spun out our non-core assets, as you were, the more grassroots exploration projects. So we've been able to build up an exploration portfolio primarily focused in the Athabasca Basin. And remember, the Athabasca Basin is Canada's only producing uranium field. That's where the McArthur River deposit is. This is where Fission Uranium has the Triple R deposit, and there's some fantastic deposits out there. And that's what we're exploring for in FISSION 3.0. We're looking for the next high-grade uranium deposit in the Athabasca Basin.
You referenced that you're a project generator. There's a lot of ambiguity regarding project generators. Please share the virtues and why FISSION 3.0 took on the project generator business model.
Well, project generators are really all about sharing the risk. So in our case, what we do very well is pick ground. We've been able to strategically stake ground in the Athabasca Basin. We've made discoveries on two of our properties, and first one in a company called Fission Energy that we made the discovery on our Waterbury Lake property, and later on in Fission Uranium Corp on our PLS property. And that has been situations where we've had joint venture partners sharing the risk, sharing the cost with others. To use the model, what we do is we use our brains and other people's money. That's really what we're good. That's basically the model that we have. So we have a very highly trained technical team that's exceptional at picking out high quality projects. We attract other people that are looking to get into the uranium business, looking to partner up with a team such as ours and join us for the ride to make a discovery. So it's really all about sharing risk, and that's really what the project generator model does. It's our land, and we partner with good quality people that can fund the project, and that's how they earn into it as well.
Do you currently have a joint venture partner? And if yes, who and what are the terms of the relationship?
We have had joint venture partners in the past, and very successful ones. As I mentioned earlier, on our Waterbury project, we had a partner with the Korean utility called KEPCO. Now, so they earned in by spending a certain amount of money on the property each year over the course of a 3-year period. And what we did with that, we were able to make a discovery using the money on that project. We made a discovery, built up the resource estimate on there, and eventually sold that asset. So that was how our shareholders were able to take advantage of our monetizing on the property. I guess we could say the same with the PLS project, of which we now own 100% of it, but that was also a partnership where we shared in the risk early on and in the money early on with our partner. We eventually bought them out in 2014, but that was another example of a successful joint venture partnership. So those each one of the deals would be a little bit different from each other, but it is a model that we think works very well. I will note that in our property down in Peru as well, we have a partnership that we're still looking to finalize the deal, but this is one where another group has approached us. They're interested in the potential of the property down in Peru, and so they'll spend a significant amount of money having us as the operator, and hopefully we'll make a discovery down in Peru as well.
Well, you've just alluded to what my next question is FISSION 3.0 has 18 projects in their project bank. Now, they are strategically located in premier high-grade uranium districts in Canada and Peru. Mr. McElroy, introduce us to the FISSION 3.0 project bank.
Yeah, exactly as you said. We have 18 properties in the Athabasca Basin. Our properties, we think that everywhere in the Athabasca Basin has the potential to host high-grade uranium projects. One of the keys that we look for is looking for deposits that will be shallow. So, in other words, the closer a deposit is to surface, the easier it is to build the case that this could be a project that could go into production. It's an easier mine to develop the closer it is to surface. Really deep deposits are challenging. They still exist, but they're challenging. Eventually, they cost more money to find. They cost more money to get out of the ground. They're just, they're just another level of challenge. So if you look at our 18 properties, they're all in and around the edge of the Athabasca Basin, where we've had a great deal of success finding near-surface mineralization. Our PLS project that hosts the Triple R deposit in fission uranium is a great example of a near-surface deposit. It's the mineralization starts at 50 meters below the surface, so 150 feet below the present-day surface is where the high-grade mineralization starts. That makes it a potentially open-pittable deposit, which is generally low cost and gives you a lot of flexibility. So this is the sort of thing that we're looking for in FISSION 3.0. We've got very good properties that are in known mining districts around. We have a good portfolio of ground around the southwest side of the basin where our PLS project in fission uranium is hosted, and also NextGen's Arrow deposit that's all in that same area. We have a significant land package that surrounds that area. We also have a good strategic land package in and around the Key Lake area in the southeast side of the basin. This has been, and still currently is, the hotbed of uranium mining in Canada right now. This is the side of the basin where the McArthur River deposit is, where the Cigar Lake deposit is. Those are two that, well, other than McArthur shut down for economic reasons, waiting for higher uranium prices, it was an operating mine up until about a year ago. And Cigar still is in operation. And you've also got the Key Lake mine. So it's a strategic area to have a good land package. We think there's lots of opportunities in and around land in that area to make a new discovery. And probably third for us is the land package that's up in the north west side of the basin in the old Uranium City Beaver Lodge district, where uranium mining in Saskatchewan first got started back in the 1950s and was the going concern back in the 50s and the 60s. I think there was about 52 operating mines up in that area. Pretty small scale, most of them, but still lots of high-grade uranium. So that's an area where we think that there's still plenty of exploration potential. And between all those areas, I think we're going to be active, and we're going to be looking for the next high-grade uranium deposit in Saskatchewan.
Speaking of being active, is there active drilling going on right now on these projects?
There is active drilling. We did drill on our in the southwest side of the basin. We were drilling in January on our PLN project. Now, that project is just immediately north of Fission Uranium's PLS project. So you're really talking about the same area where the latest discoveries have been found, where you've got the Triple R deposit, you've got NextGen's Arrow deposit. These are two of the best new deposits that have been found in the Athabasca Basin in the last 15 years. And so we have a package around there called PLN, and we did drill 6 holes in there earlier this year. It has the potential to host another one of these fantastic deposits, so we are going to continue looking there. We see all the signs present that tell us that this is a really good project of merit. Hopefully we'll make that discovery. As we're speaking right now, we're drilling over in the Key Lake area, as I described earlier. This is over in the southeast side of the basin, about 200 kilometers to the east of the PLS drilling. And that is a program where we'll drill probably 8 or 9 holes just south of the Key Lake Mill and the old historic Key Lake deposit. So there's areas of activity there, and we'll continue drilling, throughout the rest of 2019 on a number of our projects. So, we're active. We were able to raise some significant money earlier in the year, in late 2018, and so we're going to be active. This is how we've been successful in the past, is by being aggressive, looking in places where people probably haven't looked for a while or never even thought to look, and putting our technical team to work. So yes, you'll see pretty good news flow out of Fission 3 this year.
Ross, let's expand the narrative on the project bank portfolio and go south into Peru. What can you share with us there?
Sure. Well, Peru is a really interesting area. It's called where our projects are is an area called the Macusani Plateau, and it's down in southern Peru, somewhere pretty near the Bolivian border. The Macusani Plateau has shown at least over 100 million pounds in near-surface uranium deposits. There's a company down there that's quite dominant called Plateau Energy. Now, Plateau have been able to stake a lot of the old consolidated land package in there that's consolidated all these old deposits, and so they've amassed around 100 million pounds of uranium in these uranium deposits. However, even more significant, I think, and recently they've made a discovery of high-grade lithium in the same area, and in fact, that's within 5 kilometers of our southern property boundary on our Macusani claims. And so not only do we have the potential now to host uranium deposits, near-surface uranium deposits, and we have shown, in fact, that we do have mineralization on our property for uranium. We've mapped it, we've drilled, we've trenched, and found high-grade uranium. But now the potential's there for hosting high-grade lithium. And so this is really a new dimension that we have down in that area that we wouldn't have had, say, 2 or 3 years ago when we were last down drilling. So you've got uranium, and now we have lithium. And so that's it's a very interesting up-and-coming area as well.
Switching gears, Fission 3.0 has the right projects in the right place at the right time. But that's only part of the story. Equally important are the people that are responsible for increasing shareholder value. Mr. McElroy, please introduce us to your board of directors.
Right. Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. We do have a very successful team. Our founder of Fission 3.0 is also the same CEO and founder of Fission Uranium, and previously Fission Energy before that, and Strathmore. So Deborah Howe has been involved in this company right from the get-go in its first iteration back in 1996, and also heading up Fission 3.0. Deb's, what would he be, the longest running CEO in the uranium sector, I guess you could say. And myself, I've been involved with Dev for 12, 13 years now. We've had a great, successful relationship, where we're able to raise money, raise attention, put that money to work, make discoveries, and basically build shareholder value right from the bottom up. This is, the group that I think, we've been able to deliver in the past, and we're going to be able to deliver shareholder value as we move forward in this much improving uranium sector. So, a lot of the same players that we've had all the way along, we still keep also in the Fission 3 group.
Who is on your management team?
So the management team, Deborah Howe is our CEO and chairman. I am the chief operating officer and also the chief geologist. So sort of the same structure that we have in Fission Uranium is the same that we have in Fission 3.0. It's a fairly lean team. We have Tim Morehouse as president of Fission 3.0. We've kept a pretty lean, mean machine in Fission 3. Don't forget, we've had, up until just recently in the last 6 months, it's been a very quiet company. There hasn't been a lot of exploration activities in the uranium sector. I think as we start to ramp up and, with our level of activity increasing, we'll start to draw more and more people into roles and developing roles within the company as we begin to be active. get out and start marketing the story more, get on the ground and back that up with real results, we're going to continue to build our team.
Before we move on to your impressive technical team, in the natural resource space, it's wise to follow proven winners. Ross, you alluded to it earlier. You and CEO Dev Rendhauer have a proven pedigree of success. How were shareholders rewarded as far as returns for their loyalty to sticking with your team?
Well, if you owned the original company at the beginning, which would have been Strathmore Minerals, and you'd held on to it all the way throughout, back since over the last 20 years, since about 1996, 97, you probably own about 5 different companies right now. So what's happened is we've moved on to a new phase. We've made discoveries, advanced projects, sold different projects to different groups. What we've been able to do is form new companies, split off new companies in what they call a butterfly transaction. So you still have you have shares in the new company, still maintain your shares in the old company. So you would have received essentially what would look like dividends in the way of different shares for 5 different companies since that time. So the shareholders that have been loyal and sticking with us would have succeeded quite handsomely all the way along.
Your technical team is exceptional. I had an opportunity to meet them in the summer of 2016 at a site visit there. Please introduce us to them.
Sure, you're right, and we're very, very proud of this group. This has been the team. We've had the same core group of people with us since 2010. When we, with that same group, we were able to make our discovery on the Waterbury Lake project, and then followed up in 2012 with the discovery at PLS. And they're the same group that are very core and important to us in FISSION 3.0. So I do head up the team and the technical group. So I would be the team leader or chief geologist for the technical team. In my right hand guy is a fellow named Raymond Astley. He's the VP of Exploration. Ray is an excellent geoscientist that I've had the pleasure to work with for over 30 years in this sector. So we've been working pretty close together. Definitely a proven mine finder, and we've basically held the same group of people together on the project managers. All the structural scientists, the geochemists. We've kept the same core group together over the last almost 10 years or so. And to me, that's really the key. You want a team that works together well, good chemistry with each other, and the ability and the environment to think outside of the box. And really the goal for each and every one of us is to responsibly make world-class discoveries. So that's what we're all about. And we've got an excellent team. All the key people are listed on the website. You'll be able to go there and see the roles of the various group there in the technical team. But it's about 7 or 8 of us, I think, that have been able to be what I consider the core team for the last decade or so.
Let's get into some numbers. Please share your capital structure.
Sure. Well, in FISSION 3.0, we have 142 million shares outstanding. We were able to raise a significant amount of money back in 2018. So with that, we have just under $7 million in the treasury right now. That'll allow us to be active over the next 2 years or so. So that's our share structure.
What is your burn rate?
The burn rate, because it's exploration, it's pretty discretionary spending. As I say, I think we'll, with our $7 million that we have in the treasury right now, that'll certainly carry us over the next 2 to 3 years of fairly aggressive exploration spending on our key projects. So we can dial that kind of number up, and we can dial it back as conditions warrant. So that's the benefit of being in exploration. Your burn rate is actually pretty minimal. In other words, we run a pretty lean shop as far as the number of management and corporate costs. And really, the majority of the costs are exploration spending, which is really entirely discretionary.
How much debt do you have?
We have no debt. We've not taken on any debt. Basically, the money that we've raised have been through equity share offerings, so no debt in FISSION 3.0.
Who are your major shareholders, and what is their level of commitment?
When we spun off FISSION 3.0 back in December of 2014, it was the same shareholders that were shareholders of Fission Uranium were the same shareholders in FISSION 3.0. So, we would have had a lot of the same loyal large shareholders, including JP Morgan, even our investment from others that we've had along the way. It's been the same loyal group. We have significant new shareholders, I think, now with the financing that we did back in 2018, which was led by the Sprott Global Resources Group out of California. So I think we have some new players back to the game, but we have a lot of shareholders that have been with us for over the long haul. These are people that have a good vision of the uranium sector. They know that the good times are around the corner, and it's just a point that we believe very strongly in. We think that the sector is improving a great deal, and so this is how our loyal shareholders are going to be rewarded by being in a much better market with an aggressive team like FISSION 3.0, and the new shareholders, will probably be long-term loyal shareholders too if we're successful and able to build value for them as well.
What is the float?
Fully diluted, we have 227 million shares out. So we've got shares outstanding, you've got options and warrants that were part of financing as well. So 227 million shares out in total. And we trade around 240,000 shares a day. I think that's our average volume.
Multi-layered question. What is the next unanswered question for FISSION 3.0? When can we expect a response, and what determines success?
Well, we are going to be successful through work. We know that a better market should buoy the price up, of everybody involved in the nuclear sector. Anyways, they're starting to get some life back in the exploration world, but really we've always built success or value by our success. So, we've been successful at making discoveries. We now have the money, we have the team, we're putting them to work. I would look to us as being one of the most dynamic uranium explorers out there, and that's something that I think people can follow. They can see our news release cycle. They'll see how we're marketing our story, and just look at the results. I think they'll speak for themselves. Active, and we're looking at our projects. We'll be active throughout the calendar year. I think the news flow will be very strong and steady, and so people that are interested in following the company will always see that there's a continuing narrative out there. We want to take advantage of this improved uranium market, the fact that we are well financed and we have the properties that we want to explore. I think there's a very good opportunity for your followers to look at FISSION 3.0 as a sector leader in the uranium exploration business.
Mr. McElroy, last question. What did I forget to ask?
Well, what did you forget to ask? I think we've covered a lot of ground here, and a lot of important ground. I think that one of the takeaways that I want listeners to know is that we really do believe in the nuclear sector. We think that we have turned the corner and that conditions are improving. So, if people are looking to invest in the uranium sector, I think it's important for them to look at a group that has done it before. Your track record is very indicative of what your future record, has a potential to look like. I always find myself when I'm investing, I like to back teams with a proven track record. We have that in our group. We've got an exceptional management team. We've done it before. We've been able to, capitalize on our discoveries by selling assets, and we have a unique technical team that has the ability to make discoveries. So, better sector, very good team, strong management. Those are the ingredients we need to be successful.
Ross, for someone listening that wants to get more information about FISSION 3.0, please share the website address.
Sure. Our website address is www.fission3corp.com. So that's the number 3, fission3corp.com.
For direct queries, email ir@fission3corp.com, or you may call 778-484-8030. That number again is 778-484-8030. FISSION 3.0 trades on the TSX.V symbol FUU and on the OTC symbol FISOF. For our audience, we have been proud shareholders of FISSION 3.0 since 2014. Last but not least, please visit provenandprobable.com for mining insights and bullion sales. You may reach us at contact@provenandprobable.com. Ross McElroy of FISSION 3.0, thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable.
Thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable. Remember to like and subscribe for more conversations with the most respected names in the natural resource space. Check out our website at www.provenandprobable.com. The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.